Hey, vinyl community people and all my music loving friends. It's Mike MGK Boston back with another video. Normally don't make two videos in a weekend, but a good virtual friend of mine, who knows, we may meet someday. It's a strange world these days. Vinyl Martini, a guy named Jack. His channel is called The Vinyl Martini, that is. Lives up on Vancouver Island in my old homeland in Canada, British Columbia. So he's having a contest to push to 200 subscribers. And I thought his idea was really excellent. He's going to take the prize money, which is $100, donate it to his local food bank. I think that's great. That's a really excellent idea. But anyway, the criteria for the contest is such that show 3 to 5 solo records by an artist while they were concurrently in a band. So that said, not after a band broke up. So say, for example, the Police, and then Sting went on and still goes on today, putting out solo material. That wouldn't fit the criteria. It has to be basically a side project while the band was still active. So this took a bit of deep thinking for me on a Sunday morning. So actually, I was telling my wife, Patty, about it. You remember her from a couple of videos ago. And she asked me if I needed her help, and I said, no, I don't think so. There'll be no Dan Fogelberg in this video. But anyway, stay tuned. I know I said I'll never have a contest, but my wife has a great idea. So this is just a teaser. In a few weeks, we'll come back with that. But anyway, focusing here on Jack and the Vinyl Martini. Let's get things going. So I really surprised myself, just kind of doing stuff around the house this morning. And again, it took me some thought. Some were obvious, but others were not. And then they just came to me like, oh yeah. So I actually came up with 6 Jacks. So I'm going to go above and beyond here. All right. I know Jack showed a John Entwistle album in the introductory video to the contest. I'm going to show a Pete Townsend album. This is All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. Release date on this one is 82. I believe this came out between It's Hard and between Face Dances and It's Hard came after this. The name of the album, It's Hard. It's Hard, the album with Eminence Front, which is also Pete Townsend composition, by the way. So this is 82. Some critics called this kind of self-indulgent, kind of not a concept album, but pretty artsy-fartsy. I agree at points, but there are a couple of really decent tracks on this. Slit Skirts was a charting single on this. And Uniforms is another great track on this. But yeah, it has its moments. There's Pete but with this double neck guitar right there. And that flying V right there upside down on the front. Kind of a cool cover on that. Let's see, it was a gatefold sleeve on the inside. Yeah, it's just this, I don't know, he's got this long concept in the middle here. Little self-indulgent. But anyway, it's not a bad album. I bought this back then when I was a kid. I was a big fan of The Who, so I was picking up Pete Townsend records too. Don't see this one shown much in the vinyl community, so I thought I'd pull this out. And it's All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. The great Pete Townsend. All right. There he is. Phil Collins, of course, from Genesis. I'm a big fan of the early Genesis, more so with Peter Gabriel, but I do like the direction that Collins took the band. Some of it a little too poppy for my liking, but that definitely the late 70s stuff, like And Then There Were Three and Duke, they're all standouts for me too. But yeah, this was I think this might have been his second solo album. And again, this one's called Hello, I Must Be Going. There's Phil. Nice gatefold sleeve. Just a whole bunch of stuff going on here. It looks like mostly other personnel. And this one featured a lot of horns. This with I think he had Philip Bailey on here from was it Earth, Wind and Fire? I may have that wrong, but there's a lot of horns going on this. And You Can't Hurry Love, it was the big single on that. And that was, of course, Diana Ross and the Supremes cover. But yeah, some of the other ones on here. I Don't Care Anymore kicks it off. That really features a lot of great drumming from Phil on that one. Do You Know, Do You Care? Yeah, it's okay. It's not his best solo record, but it'll do. You can see here, this is a Canadian pressing, obviously. I bought this way back when too. And let's see what's on the inside beyond the gatefold. Just a track listing and then some credits on the back here. So Yeah, not sure who this horn section, I think it was from Earth, Wind and Fire. Um, but anyway, yeah, another Hugh Padgham production. He was a pretty active producer at the time, doing the later Police records too. So anyway, back in the sleeve, and it's Phil Collins, Genesis. All right. I know Jack showed that Jerry Garcia solo debut. I'm going to show the Bob Weir solo debut. Everybody that watches my videos knows I'm a big, won't say I'm a Deadhead, I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. I suppose they go hand in glove, the two terms. This is Ace, and these are mostly Grateful Dead tunes that Bob does on this one, playing in the band. Looks Like Rain is actually a solo composition by Weir. That's a really great track. Does a nice version of Mexicali Blues on this, Black Throated Wind, and of course, Greatest Story Ever Told. There's a young Bob Weir on the back. I don't know if there's anything really special on the inside here. Of course, there's Warner Brothers. Yeah, it's on the Warner Brothers green. It's an original pressing. And yeah, it looks like I replaced the inner sleeve on this one. But yeah, it's Ace, Bob Weir, concurrently with the Grateful Dead. All right, halfway here. Let's see here. So Rob over at Northern Revolutions, got back in Ontario. I know he's a huge fan of Blue Rodeo. So I thought whenever I think of Blue Rodeo and I think of this channel, he's seen them over 40 times. I only saw Blue Rodeo once. This is the band. Well, this is Jim Cuddy, All in Time, his solo debut. And this is the Blue Rodeo studio debut, Outskirts, from '87. The only time I saw them at a venue at Carleton University in Ottawa, where I was in my freshman year. So they had a nice venue on campus called Porter Hall, and I saw a lot of bands there, including these guys, Blue Rodeo. I had other opportunities to see them over the years. I mean, every summer they play all the summer festival circuit across Ontario, and that's where I lived until I moved to the States. But anyway, this is Jim Cuddy. So songwriting team was Jim Cuddy and Greg Keeler. I'll get to him in a minute. So this is, they played dual lead guitars and sang, and they composed all their music and songs together, Jim Cuddy and Greg Keeler, that is. And then they had a couple of, the band had other personnel that came and went. I know they had a different keyboard player. They 2 or 3 different keyboard players over the years, but they're still active today, Blue Rodeo. Very, very, very popular in Canada, but really, unfortunately, didn't break any ground really in the US and internationally. But they have a huge following in Canada, and they have no problem filling decent-sized venues still to this date. So this Jim Cuddy album, of course, let me see, get on the inside. There he is right there. And yeah, it's a great vocalist. There he is. There's a nice photo of him right there, Jim Cuddy. Super chill guy in any interviews I've seen. Very, very nice guy. Both these guys are just known for being real professional, and yeah, just really all around great musicians. So anyway, he had a lot of different people playing on this one, including Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. There's Jeff Tweedy right down there on his guitar. And they actually do a duet on this one. It's, what's on here? I'll Make Believe It's You. There's the lyrics for it right there. It's a duet with Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. Look that one up. So again, this Jim Cuddy record plays, it's very traditional, all country, just like Blue Rodeo. He doesn't really depart much from that, but it's still a really good debut. Again, All in Time. Get that together. And it's Jim Cuddy. The release date on this one is 1998. Yeah, 98 on that. I think I have that right. So there he is on the back in a contemplative mood. There, it looks like there. All right, that's Jim Cuddy. And this is Greg Keeler, the other guy in that team. This does not play like a Blue Rodeo album. It's very grim. It's very dark. The tempo doesn't change much through the 10 tracks on this. Sarah McLachlan, if you're familiar with her as a singer, she's also from Canada, also from the West Coast. These guys were from Toronto, was their base. But Sarah McLachlan, you remember her from all the Lil Affair stuff, and great vocalist and singer in her own right. She's a special guest on this one and sings on a number of songs on this one. Don't ask me to name you what songs. This hasn't seen the light of day in a while, this compact disc. There's Greg Keeler on the back. So yeah, again, and it's called Gone is the name of this one. I believe the year of this one, this is just the year before the Jim Cuddy debut. This is 1997, the release on this one. And this, he was from the east coast of Canada. There's Cape Breton Island off the coast of Nova Scotia. That was where Greg Keeler was from before he ended up in Toronto. Just some kind of mystical artwork going on the inside. I don't know if that's the Ganesh or whatever they call that thing. But anyway, yeah, just kind of funky artwork. And then, of course, there's some lyric sheets on the inside. But yeah, again, I can't really name any standouts on this because it all kind of blends together for me. I haven't listened to this in years, but I may listen to this today. It's rather a grim November day here. It's raining, and it's what you get in November. I was getting tired of those little mini heat waves, and we're into more traditional November weather, and this certainly would be a perfect soundtrack for that kind of a day that we're having today here in New England. But anyway, that's Greg Keeler. Again, they're both from, see if I can show them all at once here. Greg Keeler, Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo. Excellent. If you're not familiar, look up any of those. The Jim Cuddy is a better record than the Greg Keeler. But again, Rob from Northern Revolutions, if you watch this video, I'd like you to enlighten me with your opinion, because I know, as I said, you've seen them over 40 times and you're probably one of their biggest fans, so I'd appreciate your opinion. Finally, number 6 here. I surprised myself again with this list today. It's David Gilmour. This was his debut self-titled solo album. This came out sandwiched between Animals and The Wall in 1978. It was produced by David Gilmour, all songs written by David Gilmour, and it's really good. Excellent guitar player. I don't need to tell you that if you know Pink Floyd. If you don't, you've been living under a rock. Not much on the way of, on the inside here. They kind of cheaped out on this CD release, but whatever. Yeah, so the best track on this is There's No Way Out of Here. You might hear, it's a bit of a deep track, but you might hear that on Classic Rock FM, Once in a Blue Moon. Short and Sweet is good, Raise My Rent. And it's definitely, but it's like DEAF. Yeah, this is really good, and there's a younger David Gilmour right there. It looks like a kind of a, speaking of grim weather, that looks like typical. It's England in wintertime, you know, with the snow on the ground and the sky is gray. And that's what you get in the wintertime in England. But that's Gilmour, of course, from Pink Floyd. And again, released just between those two super albums, of course, Animals and The Wall. That's David Gilmour's solo debut. He continues to have output. The woman he married later on, that was his collaborator. She wrote most of the songs on The Division Bell. Her name escapes me. She writes most of his lyrics now, and he's kind of sailed off into a more very, very mellow. His latest, that solo record, I don't know if it's called Ocean. It's something to do with the water, and it's almost like bookstore music, I would call it, in the background. Certainly, this is not. This is really good. But David Gilmour, solo debut. So that's my contest entry. Jack at the Vinyl Martini. Please check out his channel. Cool guy, mellow guy. We actually have very similar tastes in music. So that kind of, like mine's, makes things easy when you're checking out all the different videos in the vinyl community. So that's my contest entry. And yeah, good on you, Jack, for donating to the food bank. I think that's a great cause and an excellent idea. See you next time, folks.